Well, just the other night, Joe DiMaggio had a State of the Onion address. Oh, it's true! And of course, the State of the Onion really smells. It's damn true! But to him, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Thing to see here, please!
If you mean by fine, high inflation, high food, high gas prices, out of control borders, and of course, Chinese balloons.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
I'm Jazz Berganzo, and this
And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
is What's Next. Hey, what's up, guys? Jazz Berganzo here. Another episode of What's Next, your daily, of course, facts, common sense, and salt. Hope you guys are doing well on this Thursday. The State of the Union, or as I like to call it, the State of the Onion. He held it the other night, Joe DiMaggio, and he mentioned a number of things. You know, how great the country is, that we're coming back, and things are getting lower, and we're getting better, and 5 black cops killing another black man, but blames it on white supremes. And, you know, that's okay, and tying it into January 6th. But notice something's missing, you know, like mentioning of food prices still skyrocketing, high gas prices, the out of control border, you know, Chinese balloons. Those sort of things kind of got, glossed over. Well, the one thing we all saw was, of course, Joe Biden kissing Kamala Harris's husband squarely on the lips, and of course, took away anything that Joe DiMaggio said that night. But we have the real skinny on the real State of the Union. Let's take a look. This comes out of the Washington Examiner, the real state of the nation. Last week, Biden delivered his second State of the Union address, where he had an opportunity to present solutions to a laundry list of crises that threaten our country and faces, so that he could have that would have grave implications for our future. And you know what? He just didn't give to. Biden spent the last 2 years touting his administration efforts on rebuilding the nation's infrastructure, provide security, and aid people of Ukraine. Of course, you know, the billions, over 100 billion, you know, sent to the guy in the sweatpants. Advance equity and racial justice because, of course, pronouns count and you don't. Provide student debt relief, which, of course, never did. And achieve climate-related goals. Yes, because climate is the most threatening to our nation. You know, not 5 million crossing the border, but anyway, facts. He has created, of course, self-made crises that he created since he took office. Here is what he failed to address on Tuesday. Until January 2023, Biden said that there were more important things than visiting the border. He left Vice President, you know, Kamala Harris, in charge of the border. How'd that go? Meanwhile, he seems to have no clue how bad the border crisis really became. Since the beginning of the presidency, 5.8 million illegals, immigrants, have crossed the southern border. And so far, just a fiscal year, 38 people on the terror watch list were caught trying to enter the U.S. between ports of entry. We also had deadly drugs, fentanyl, that were floating across our borders like a sieve at alarming rates and running rampant on our streets. At what point does the administration take anything seriously? It has no plans to enforce federal immigration laws. Even though the Biden administration did not care about illegal immigration, he does care about drugs and their effects on children. Really? He apparently plans to do nothing, only to entice more illegal crossings and more drugs coming across the border. Not only does our nation faces crisis at the border, the opioid crisis has taken the lives of many thousands. But our influence on the world stage has significantly weakened. Yes, we are a weak nation because we have a weak president. We need to bolster engagement with our allies and work counter to increase the threats that we face from China, you know, not just Chinese balloons, Iran, North Korea, Russia, and others. Last week, a Chinese spy balloon was spotted floating across the airspace over multiple states when it had no person being there. And we are continually receiving increasing threats of it every day. This is a matter of national security. Biden needs to not only stand up for foreign adversaries, but he needs to be transparent with the public to uphold our quote-unquote democracy. We're not a democracy, bro. We are a republic. Of course, as we all know, Biden's first day in office, you know, he canceled the Keystone Pipeline bill, ruining and basically wrecking 25,000 lives within the first 3 days of his taking of office. Now he's limiting the mining of natural resources, such as cobalt in the U.S., forcing producers to deal with Chinese-owned mining companies. We shouldn't rely on foreign adversaries for natural gas and funding overseas, so we have the ability to mine our own natural resources here in the country, as Trump did. And of course, we became solely independent in November of 2020 for the first time in over 30 years. It's called facts. We must reopen domestic energy production and mine domestically. It will not only help drive down costs, but of course, ease inflationary pressure on American families. Of course, that is our best interest. Families, workers, small businesses across the country are suffering from record high inflation, eating up every last penny of our pockets. According to a recent survey, 72% of middle-class families say they are financially falling behind on the cost of living due to inflation. Republican governors are the ones creating jobs and leading the economy in the face of massive inflationary headwinds from Biden and Democrats' radical economic agenda. For the first time in almost 40 years, there are now more jobs in Florida, a Republican-led state, than there are in New York. The road we are is not sustainable. Republican parties offering compromise solutions to support an open, free economy and protect human rights, freedoms, and democracy. If the Democrats and the Biden administration are willing to work across the aisle in good faith, act in civility, how confident are you that they will tackle some of the most pressing problems our country faces? We go from that to this. Viewership, the worst in over 30 years. Viewership for Biden at the State of the Onion addressed down 29% from last year, lowest audience in over 30 years. Let's just go straight to the numbers. Trump in 2017 had 48 million, then 46, then 47, and of course 32 million in 2020, which of course was COVID year. Dementia in 22, 38 million, and then plummeted, cratering to a 27.3 million, the lowest in 30 years. But then again, people were occupied with other things like, mowing their lawns and painting their houses, of course, in the middle of winter time, because when else are you going to do it? The choice is between normal or crazy. Arkansas governor delivers Republican speech after Biden's State of the Onion. Now I'm going to not go through the whole thing only because of time restraint, but here's how she broke it down. I'm for freedom. He's for government control, she said after noting that the president does not share much in common. I'm the first woman to lead my state, and he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is. Facts. The dividing line in America is no longer between the right and left. The choice is between normal or crazy, she declared, adding later that the Biden administration is doubling down on crazy. I'm going to go with tripling. Dementia is unwilling to defend the border, our skies, defend our people. He simply is unfit to serve as commander-in-chief. Fact, the governor declared. She didn't add it. While you reap the consequences of the failures, the Biden administration seems to be more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality of Americans facing every day. Sanders, who was sworn as governor last month, delivered her address after Biden's speech, which she described the State of the Onion as strong. Yes, very strong smelling. Biden faced disapproving shouts from lawmakers during his speech, including a claim that some Republicans would like Medicare as well as Social Security to sunset. Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, the savage one herself, who appeared to yell liar in response to the president's claim, also tweeted the message that he is a liar. Pretty much gave you a condensed version. The fact of the matter is that he was more obsessed with talking about Trump, climate change, white supremes, and how great our country is doing when he didn't have the facts to back it up. Governor Sanders is correct. The fact of the matter is that he's doubling down on crazy. He's tripling down on crazy every single day. The man doesn't know where he is most of the time. And of course, every time is nap time for him. But it doesn't help any when you have one Joe Biden kissing Kamala Harris's husband right on the lips in front of the world to see. And of course, taking any kind of thunder away from Joe Dementia's ridiculous and weak-ass speech. I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.